So, welcome to Northern Powerhouses, our business success stories series of interviews, where we discuss with local business leaders their backgrounds, their successes, their challenges, and what's really driving them forwards. And this morning, I'm delighted to have with us Ruth Geddes, who's CEO and co-founder at Prospect Change. So, firstly, Ruth, thank you for spending a bit of time with us. And if you'd like to introduce yourself, Prospect Change, what you do, how you help people, that would be wonderful.
Fabulous. Thanks, Chris. Thanks so much for this opportunity. It's lovely to chat to you today. Yes, Ruth Geddes,
Well,
and as you've mentioned, co-founder of Prospect Change with my lovely friend and business partner, Jen Anderton. So we are still, I would say, classed as a startup. We launched Prospect Change in January 2022.
right.
So we're coming up to our fourth year in
Well done.
January of 2026. So Prospect Change specialises in something called PMO. Now, PMO is often an unknown anomaly in an organisation, but pretty much every organisation will need one, or at least need the principles that PMO
Yeah.
stands for. So PMO stands for Project, Programme or Portfolio Management Office, and we specialise in helping organisations establish or enhance their function within PMO at any
Yeah.
of those levels.
Brilliant. Perhaps you could talk about what makes a great client for you. What are the sorts of organisations or businesses that you work best with?
Yes, absolutely. So an organisation for us that we really kind of can bring a lot of value to is those top end medium into your large and beyond organisations. So
Yeah.
the reason a PMO exists, PMO function, or the principles of the PMO ultimately is to help an organisation grow and develop. So every organisation has a vision that they want to achieve. It's something that somewhere they want to be in the next 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. And in order to achieve that vision, they will ideally have a strategy that ultimately lays out a roadmap of change from where they are right now to
Got you.
where they will be when they're living in that place of the vision. And to achieve that change, they need to deliver various projects and programs. And in order to do that, they have to keep those projects and programs connected to the
Yes.
strategy and ultimately to take them to the place of the vision. So we set up that capability that keeps those projects connected. And we do that by bringing in a single way of working across all of their projects and programs, and then acting as almost an air traffic control, really, just like the air traffic control does at the airport
Yeah.
in the way that they keep a track of all the planes that are in their airspace. We do that for their projects and programs. We
Brilliant.
understand, help them define their true cost of change, their true benefit and value of change. And then as those projects get started and the unknowns occur like they do in the world of projects, we help them navigate those risks and challenges in order to keep everything on track so that that vision does become a reality and doesn't just remain a statement on a wall that they hope to achieve one day and sadly never do. So any organisation that has a vision for growth will benefit from the value of a PMO. And it's about setting up that capability and eventually handing that over so that they can manage that, and that becomes a normal way of working for them so that they're forever growing, forever developing, and
Brilliant.
go from strength to strength ultimately.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Such a clear requirement. I mean, the world is changing around us every day. So every organisation that isn't ready for change or constantly looking at what they need to do is will be falling behind over time for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. And change in itself has changed recently. So pre-COVID and pre-Brexit, actually, I would say, organisations were much more proactive about the change that they wanted to deliver. They
Yeah.
felt confident that they could look ahead to 5 years, 10 years, and feel clear that they had a level of control about the change that they wanted to deliver.
Yes.
More recently, over the last 5 to 7 years specifically, change has become more reactive. Those
Yeah.
roadmaps are shorter. Organisations feel less confident about where they feel they will be just because of the moving environment economically, politically, etc. around us. So it's almost needed even more so that they can pivot and react to change as
Yes.
it's happening whilst keeping themselves on course as well.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. So Ruth, maybe if we could look back for a little bit and talk a little bit about your background, how you got into business, and why this particular one for you.
Yes, absolutely. So I started my career at the young age of 19 at Yorkshire Water. I absolutely loved working at Yorkshire Water, and I worked in various teams, started customer facing, and then moved more into the central area and more operational side. And it's then that I got to understand more about the world of projects And at that time, Yorkshire Water wanted to set up their own PMO function. I had no idea what a PMO was. I didn't even really truly understand the difference between a risk and an issue. I was so new to the world of change. But the competencies of what they were looking for in that role aligned to my natural way of working. So I went for it. And that's when I discovered what PMO was and what projects and change is. And it just really made sense to me. And so I had a great opportunity there to kind of grow and establish something at Yorkshire Water. And then I went beyond into other industries. So I started to explore the financial industry and discovered that PMO really is a bit of an unknown key really to success.
Yes.
And I went contracting consultant at that point. I went independent because I just absolutely loved going into an organisation and getting that opportunity to bring to them the true value of a PMO when you start talking strategic.
Yep.
And how it really does unlock value and just brings such confidence and clarity and control at every single level.
Yep.
And yeah, absolutely loved it.
Brilliant.
But I did think there was more opportunity there in terms of professionalising it as a standard, because if you're really great at PMO, then you bring great value to an organisation when you move in. But because there's a real lack of professionalisation within PMO as a way of working, and there's no formal educational kind of guidelines that said this is what a great PMO is. It is very varied. So some organisations have a terrible experience of a PMO, some have an amazing experience of a PMO, and many are somewhere in the middle. And so I wanted to professionalise those standards and bring a new way of doing it.
Brilliant. Brilliant. And I mean, you describe yourself as a startup, but 4 years in, well done for.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the stats on business survival, certainly the first 5 years, are quite challenging. So really well done to already be at 4. And looking back over those 4 years, what are some of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome?
A great question. So I think one of the biggest challenges from the beginning, and I think this is a challenge we will always have, is the negative perception of what a PMO is. So those larger organisations who have experienced a PMO and not experienced a good one will write it off completely, because a PMO, if it doesn't bring strategic value and it doesn't connect projects to change and change to vision, then it can actually frustrate a lot of individuals in an organisation. It can feel like it's a bottleneck, it's slowing down. They're asking all project managers to work to a same standard, but those project managers are not seeing the bigger picture and how those standards are connected to a wider vision and therefore why they're needed.
Yep.
And so if that, I call it tactical and strategic. So if the PMO is stopped at tactical, it doesn't bring that value. It hinders and it slows down and it frustrates. And getting over that negative connotation has definitely been our biggest challenge, to the point that in many organisations who've had a negative experience, we don't call the PMO function the PMO function. We call it something else, like the transformation office or the strategy office,
right?
Something like that, because it is so ingrained is that negative. So that's definitely been our biggest challenge.
Yeah.
And then building a consultancy in today's economy is tough. I would say that's been a real struggle at certain points. We've definitely had to fight and push harder.
Yes.
At certain months, I would describe it as a roller coaster. You can be up here and thinking, "Oh my goodness, that's it, we've nailed it, we've done it."
Yep.
And then suddenly something happens and you dip that back down again. You're like, "Oh my goodness, we need to push harder. We need to come up with a new innovative way of doing this and getting our message out there." So being very reactive ourselves, pivoting the way that we message and the way that we really help organisations has been, I would say, the second biggest challenge.
Brilliant. And whether it's from challenges or successes or wherever, what are the biggest things you've learned about growing the business so far?
The biggest thing I would say is really resilience.
Yes.
You've got to be resilient and you've got to be prepared. I heard a saying, I'm probably not saying it word for word at the moment, but I'll say it the best I understand it, is sometimes success is about how long you can put up with failure.
Yep.
Without giving in. And there's certainly been points in the journey where we've just felt like we were putting up with failure before the success was coming. And it's how long sometimes you can ride that out and how resilient you can be before the next big win comes and the next success, because it does come. but you do have to hang on for it sometimes.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's a great way of looking at things. It is just hanging on, getting through. And I think, I've been through a couple of recessions over time in business,
Yeah,
and just getting through with things like recession. You mentioned Brexit earlier; that had quite a big impact on many businesses. Getting through these things, getting through COVID, is as big a success sometimes than winning the big client or any of
yeah,
those other things. And,
yeah.
and Ruth, I think you're aware we're a business coaching organisation, so I'm keen to know who the best coaches you've worked with, whether that's business, sport, life in general. Who's had the biggest impact on you?
So in life generally, I'm really lucky. I've got a very, very supportive husband who is also very passionate about business. And
Brilliant.
I think often we're each other's rocks in
Yep.
that. And
Brilliant.
he has been spectacular throughout all of this. And on days where it has been tough, he's been able to say, right, dig deep. This is when you've got to hunker down and
Yeah.
really, you've got to find that strength. And he'll really celebrate the wins, but
Yeah.
equally, really support when things are a little bit tough. So yeah,
Brilliant.
I would say he's been instrumental in terms of
Wonderful.
not a formal coach, but he has been instrumental throughout all of this.
It's just, I mean, I think it's so important to have people around us that can support us and
Yeah,
encourage us, and as you said, getting through those challenges that ultimately leads to the success. And whether it's from your husband or other sources, do you have any favourite quotes or sayings about business or life and success in general that you catch yourself using a lot?
yeah. So we use Jen and I our favourite, and this comes from my mum actually. She will say it to me a lot: is trust the process.
Yep.
We will often just say that to each other. Just trust the process. We follow process. It's key to what we
Yes.
do. Ultimately, PMO exists because it's formal processes in place. So
Yes.
it's instrumental in all of that. But everything that we do, there's almost this golden thread. You meet someone who connects you with someone else, and then you kind of mention something, and suddenly you've got this entire network, and you're helping each other, and you're all growing as a result of each other. And so yeah, trust the process throughout all of this.
Brilliant.
It's definitely been the biggest quote that we just say back to each other over and over
Love it.
again.
Love it. And any favourite books or podcasts you can recommend on business or life in general?
So life in general, so most of my books and podcasts are definitely child related. So I've got two little girls, and
Brilliant.
um, when when I'm cooking tea, when I'm off for a walk, that sort of thing, I'll stick on a podcast or a book. Often it's an audio book around parenting. So at the moment, I'm listening to something called Hold On to Your Kids. My children are quite little, and I'm preparing for those teen years and how to keep them close. So yeah, Hold On to Your Kids is a good one
Lovely.
I'm listening to at the moment.
Brilliant. And same around learning. What have you say you've learned about yourself throughout your journey so far?
I would say I'm a lot more resilient than I think I'd realised I was. I'm a lot stronger than I think I'd realised I was. So yes, resilience is definitely a strength of my character that I didn't realise I had until I
Brilliant.
started process change.
Brilliant. And we have a definition of a business in Action Coach Ruth, and it's a commercial profitable enterprise that can work without its owners, which is often quite a surprise for many people we work with and talk to. What are your thoughts on that?
I would absolutely agree with that actually. I got some amazing advice which I've forgotten until just now. When you asked me about quotes. When we first started growing prospect change, and somebody asked us, what do you want to do? Do you want to sell it one day? Like, what's your ambition? And Jen and I laughed. We're like, oh my goodness, we couldn't imagine selling it. But it's like our baby at the moment. It still needs so much love and nurturing and growing. Like we're so close to it. But somebody said to us, grow your business as though you're going to sell it, regardless of
Yes.
what your future ambition is for it. Because I would say at the moment, we're still in those early days, and the majority of our clients come to us because they've worked with Jen before and they know she's amazing, or they've worked with me before and they know I deliver amazing value.
Brilliant.
And so they come to Prospect Change because of Jen or because of Ruth, or
Yeah.
because somebody has told them
Yeah.
about what we do. And just this year, we have started to see people come into Prospect Change because of Prospect Change, not because
Great.
of them and not because of Ruth. And that has felt like a real milestone for us
Great. Yeah.
because we're growing something that can ultimately exist without our names attached to it,
Yes.
which feels it feels massive. It feels like we've
Yep.
achieved great this year because of that. But yeah, you need to grow it so that it runs as its own system. So cogs turn, while you're out at the spa or whatever, relaxing, enjoying yourself.
Absolutely, no, absolutely. And interesting enough, creating a business works without you also creates something that's more saleable and more valuable because it's independent. So that migration that you're getting, where it's about the business, not just about you guys, is great.
Yeah, 100%.
So looking forward then now, what does the future look like for you guys, and what challenges do you think you might face, if any, Ruth?
It's a great question. We have changed so much just in this last 3 and a bit years. It's very hard to go too far in the future. We do have an ambition of being the go-to consultancy, PMO, support and training and resource, and we absolutely stand by that and
Yeah,
continue to hold that as our vision. That is what we want to be. We are PMO through and through, and we want to be that go-to. In terms of what that will look like, we are very much listening to our clients and our customer
yeah,
base at the moment and responding to what they need. And so whether that will be off-the-shelf services and consultancy, whether that will be training that they can access directly, that will sort of look different based on what they need.
yeah.
But that vision of being the go-to for PMO resource and support and expertise absolutely stands true. And I do think our biggest challenge for the next few years at least will still be this negative connotation of PMO and really facing into it and addressing it and saying, if you've experienced the negative side of PMO that feels like it slowed you down or hindered you, we can show you the strategic value. And once
Brilliant.
you've experienced that as an organisation, you will never want to do it without, and you'll never want to do change without PMO. It's
Brilliant. Brilliant. I can see how passionate you are about PMO and delivering that into organizations. And I think that's a key part of any business is having that passion, that purpose of why we're here and why we help people. And I'm keen to know, Ruth, what you say to anyone that was thinking of going into business right now.
Ooh, do it. It's amazing. I have never looked back, even on the days when it's been tough. I have never, ever looked back. It gives me autonomy like I've never known. I love working with one of my closest friends. Like we love working together. We have so much fun together, and yeah, I've never looked back. The freedom that it gives me and the
Brilliant.
confidence in myself as a woman in business. I've never had such confidence since as I
Brilliant.
have since that perfect change. Yeah, do it.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And if you started your business again, is there anything significant you do differently, do you think, Ruth?
Ooh, would I do anything different? I think I would probably consider the operational side a little bit more in terms of talking more about the value.
Yeah.
So probably not the operational side, actually. That's probably the wrong way to put it. But we talked a lot in the early days about what we do and how we do it, and not necessarily about the focus wasn't so much on, well, what does that mean for the organisation?
Yes.
It was more process driven. So when you work with prospect change, this is what we do and this is how we'll do it, rather than this is what it will look like for you and this is how it will feel for you and this is the value that you will get. So I would say the biggest change would have been from day one to flip that over and to talk
Right.
less about us and what we do and more about our client and how
Great.
it will feel for them and what they will get as a result of it. So it's
Brilliant.
relatable and they can understand, rather than just saying, well, you just throw in a load of complex words at us. And so that is the one change. That is something we're
I
pretty
think that,
looking at.
yeah, I think that's really valuable to consider because most people in any professional or trade or whatever it would be, people don't really care what we do. We care about the problems we solve for them. And
Absolutely.
and if we
Yeah,
talk in those terms, then we're gonna build value in what we do.
exactly.
Absolutely. So, final question, Ruth. What would be the best advice you could give an 18-year-old you if you could go back in time and do that?
Oh, it would just be to believe in myself, to really have confidence in who I am as an individual,
Yep.
and to not hold back, to speak the things that I'm thinking, to say something if I feel like something needs saying, just say it, and just truly have the confidence and belief that you can go out and achieve what it is that you say
Brilliant.
you have.
Brilliant. Sound advice to anybody, especially in the teens. I think it's especially in this
Oh,
world,
definitely.
in
Yeah.
in the world as it's changing. Well, one of my daughters still a teenager, and it's tough. It's been tough for both of them. I think in the new world of social media and all those sorts of things.
Oh, it's hard growing up in today's world, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Ruth, it's been really fascinating talking to you, and I really appreciate your thoughts on a whole bunch of stuff that I think a lot of people are going to find interesting. And for anyone that's interested in getting in touch with you or Prospect Change, what would be the best way of doing that?
There is websites. We have our it's www.prospectchange.co.uk. We also have Prospect Change on LinkedIn. I'm Ruth Geddes on LinkedIn, and then there's Jen Anderson on LinkedIn. So you could reach out to us via our website or via LinkedIn. Our numbers and email addresses are all on there.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, look, it'd be great to swing by another 6 to 12 months and just see how the story's
That'd be
unfolding
lovely.
further for
Yeah.
you. But for now, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks so much, Chris. Thank you. Really appreciate it. It's been lovely talking to you.
And you, thank you.